Hi everybody and welcome to this Disney nail art tutorial. My name's Louise, I'm a session manicurist and beauty therapist, and I'm just going to run through with you a Mickey Mouse design. It's quite simple to do Mickey, to be quite honest. He's probably the best character to start with because he's quite easy. And if you can draw Mickey, it means you can draw Minnie, so straight away you've accomplished two. The difference between Mickey and Minnie is that Minnie has eyelashes and a bow, which Mickey doesn't, so yeah, it's really quite straightforward. As you can see, I've got a couple of examples here, Minnie being one of them. You can see basically the difference. You know, take the eyelashes and the bow away and it's Mickey. I've got Mickey here as a wizard. I've got an old-fashioned Mickey there. I've got a Christmas Mickey. I've got a leprechaun Mickey that I'm going to do later. But today we're just going to do a straightforward Mickey Mouse. What you'll need is a nice fine pencil, a fine painting brush. You will need gel pot paints as opposed to gel polish, because gel polish tends to not be quite as pigmented and will run a little bit. You won't get such fine lines. What you want to do is paint your nail, whatever the base colour is going to be. Apply a matte top coat, because you can draw on a matte top coat quite nicely, and you can rub that out. You know, if you make a mistake, it's very easy to correct on a matte surface. With regards to pictures and transferring them onto nails, if I were doing an actual sort of human character face, I would print off the picture and I would measure it and I would scale it down to go onto the nail. With a character, it's more about dissecting it into shapes. So with Mickey Mouse, we've got lots of circles, we've got a heart shape, we've got an oval. And that's around about the kind of three shapes predominantly that you're going to need to be able to draw. So I've got a nail here that I've already prepared with a matte top coat. I'm going to take my centre point because I want his nose to be around about here, and I'm going to draw the top of his head just sort of in the middle here, and then I'm going to draw half a circle for his ear. I'm going to draw another half circle for his ear. I need a little gap between the nose and the top of the mouth. So I'm going to draw my line there, which is going to be the top of his mouth. And from that, the bottom is going to come. I have gently drawn this already because I just want to make sure I've got everything in proportion. I don't know how well you can see my sketching there. Eyes are literally just an oval shape. We need to draw a heart shape in to be the detail of his face. You see? And a tongue, again, a sort of heart shape. You're just going to come almost like an M here to here. We've got his tongue. That's probably about it for what I'm going to start with. This is going to be his body, so this bit will just be black. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've already mixed up, I always have a tile to the right of me, and that tile is where I use it as a palette basically. You can use tinfoil, you can use something else. I always just use a tile. And so I've already mixed up some colour, which is going to be the slightly fleshier colour of Mickey, which is the bit around the eyes, and that's the bit I'm going to start with. It's personal preference, I'm sure other people will probably start in a different place, but this is where I always start, and I'm going to follow my outline, so that kind of heart shape, that sort of M that I've created. I like a design to not be complete. I don't want to see all of Mickey. I want this to just be part of Mickey, like on these where, you know, he's at an angle, and here where he's, you know, in his Christmas clothes. So I don't like it to be quite so central, uniformed, perfect, because it's just not natural nail art for me. But yeah, so here I am. I'm going to do my sort of fleshy colour. I'm using some gel paints. These are actually Light Elegance ones. They're really very nice. But you can use whichever paints you like. But as I say, with regards to polish, you're going to find that the pigment isn't going to be quite strong enough, but certainly the product is going to be a little bit too runny, and you won't get the same precision with it. I've done it with gel polish before, it's just not quite as good. Gel paints are perfect for art, whatever art you might be doing. Right, so I'm just going to paint this face in, and then I'm going to cure this for 30 seconds. Okay, so I've painted the fleshy colour of his face, I've cured it, and now I'm going to take the black, so as I can do around the edge of that. I'm using a 00, a very thin brush. I like a short, thin brush. By all means, you can use a long, thin brush, but you need a nice thin brush so you can get the detail of your design. When it comes to drawing it, if you wanted to practice beforehand, you could, there's lots of books that you can buy that are sort of nail art books that have little nails drawn in them for you to practice your designs on. So you could always start sketching Mickey or whoever the character is that you're going to draw, and start sort of scaling it down slowly on a sketch beforehand. If you like to kind of feel like you have an exact plan of what you're going to do, then you could always do it that way, and then you've got sort of something to copy. I tend to just look for a centre point within my picture and a centre point within my nail. So like for this one was the nose, and sort of go from there. Have a look at it after you've drawn it. If you feel like it's not quite in proportion, rub it out. That's the beauty of the matte surface. So, rub it out and do, redraw parts of it, change it slightly, whatever you need to do until you're happy. Because if you've got the sketch underneath perfect, or as perfect as you can, that is what you're going to follow. It then just becomes really a colouring in exercise. So I'm going to do all of this black, and I'm going to do his body as well, and I'm going to cure that for 30 seconds. Okay, so now we've cured that, we're starting to get the shape. So now I'm going to take a little bit more black again and do the nose, which is more of a kind of oval shape. Just want a little bit of product each time. Don't sort of flood your design. And then I'm going to start to add some detail to the mouth. So you'll want two colours, and this is why I always have my palette, so as I can mix colours up, because it's very rare that you get the exact, other than black and white, it can be quite rare that you get the exact colour that you want. So for the mouth, you're going to want a slightly lighter pinky shade that we're going to put for the tongue. And this is sort of drawing almost like a half heart, a bit of an M. Now you can cure this first if you want to, before you then have a slightly darker colour. And for the darker colour, because this is the kind of shadow, the darker part of the mouth, the roof of the mouth, I always mix just a little bit of red with a tiny bit of black. In fact, I'm going to make that just a little bit darker. create that shadow that is the inside of the mouth. Now, if you're worried that you're going to disturb the lighter pink that you've done, by all means, cure that first and then come back in with your darker colour. And then once you're happy, cure that for 30 seconds. Okay, so Mickey's starting to come to life now. Now we need to give him some eyes. So you want a tiny bit of black on your very thin brush. And I always do the outline of the eye first. Very slowly. And just, as I say, a small amount of product. Once you start adding the little details, it's when the character really starts to come to life. Always use the tip of your brush. Try not to let it go onto its side too much, because obviously your line will start to become thicker and you'll have less control. And then I'm going to put my black sort of oval shape in here to actually give him an eye. And then I'll do exactly the same on the other eye, and then I'll cure both of those. Okay, so we have eyes. So now I'm just going to take some white to make sure that you have got all of the black out of your brush. Good way to clean your brush is by just dragging it through some clear gel, clear top coat or something like that. So I'm going to take the white now. I know my nail underneath is white anyway, but this will just allow the eye to kind of pop out a little bit, make it look fresher, more precise, crisper. Also at this point, if you have made any of your lines a little bit thicker in places or a little bit thicker than you would like, you could now correct it a little bit with your white. And now's the time for us to start adding our little bits of detail. So I am going to start to put the black around the mouth to give the mouth a little bit more definition, because it's nowhere near the eye, so I can't interfere with any uncured gel. Now, as I said before, if it's next to each other, by all means cure it first. Because you don't obviously want it running into each other, or the sharpness of your lines being lost. So I'm just going to give this mouth an outline. Again, you just want a small amount of product because we just want a thin line to create our definition. I'm going to do the same underneath the mouth, and I'm going to do the same for the tongue, and then I'm going to cure that again. Okay, so now we're going to add the last few little bits of details. So the first thing I want to do is just draw a very thin line, sort of curved at the bottom of the eyes and above the nose, just to create that definition of the nose shape so it doesn't look like a flat face. You just want a little bit of black on the tip of your brush. Here is going to be my highest point for my curve. Just put a tiny little mark there. I'm going to come from there to the bottom of the eye and come over. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Bring that across to the bottom of the eye and just curve it. You see it? And that just brings the nose out, just brings the face out a little bit. The other last little thing that I'm going to do, still with my black, I'm just going to add a little bit of definition to the tongue and the mouth. Equally, this could be done with a red colour if you wanted to keep it with more in keeping of the colours of the mouth. Just a tiny, tiny, very thin line just to create the definition there of our tongue. And I'm just going to clean my brush because I just want a little bit of white. And I'm just going to dot that. You could use your brush, you could use a very small dotting tool if you've got one. Just on the nose, around about here. Just to create that little bit of shine. And then I'm going to cure that. What you could also do, I mean, on a client, you would probably have a painted colour as your base anyway, as opposed to white. You could, if you're doing this on a little tip to show people, you could colour the white in if you want to make it a different colour. I would do that with a gel polish as opposed to a gel paint, just because you don't need that thick consistency, and also I just think, you know, it's more expensive for you to use. I'm just going to use a pale blue. Get the lid off with one hand. Just almost like a little sky, I suppose, just as my background colour. I don't want anything too dark. But I can pop this on at this point because I don't have any wet gel paint up here that I'm going to interfere with. You will want to get your very thin brush that you've been using, so make sure it's clean, just to go in a little bit closer obviously to your character. And then I'm going to cure that. So once that's cured, you're going to apply your top coat, either matte or glossy. It's entirely up to you. My personal preference is a glossy top coat. So do make sure that everything is cured properly underneath so you don't end up smudging your design. And obviously this is just basic Mickey. This is just, you know, Mickey in his traditional sense. You can by all means add to this a dicky bow, a hat. You could, as you can see, I'll just pop that into Cure a sec. As you can see from these, you know, we've Fantasia Mickey with his wizard's hat on. This was just a traditional Mickey with him winking. Here's Mickey with a Christmas hat on. So you would draw Mickey as you did today. And all you're going to add is a sort of half a semicircle in between the ears. Give him a little bit of a white fluffy collar here. I mean, I added a little bit of holly, but you don't have to. A little bit of white fluffy collar. Paint that little bit in the middle as red. Paint his body as red because he's got a Father Christmas suit on as opposed to his black body. and you've turned him into Christmas Mickey, but exactly the same technique would apply. This one here, which I have sketched ready, this is going to be Leprechaun Mickey. So this one I've done to the side, so much like this one here. I've got only one eye that I've fitted on here. I don't know how well you can see that because it is a very light sketching. But I've given him a top hat. And that top hat's going to be green, so he looks like a leprechaun. But the colours, I'll mix the same colours for his face. I'll still use the same black, the same white, the same technique, but I've just done him at a slight angle. So his mouth's at a bit of an angle. So you can take the same basic principle and adapt it in several different ways. As I say, take any character, whether it's Mickey, whether it's Minnie. So with Minnie, the same principle applies, but you can see on here, all you're going to do is add 3 eyelashes to each eye, and you'll just add a bow. Take any character, break it down into shapes. Are they circles? Are they ovals? Are they squares? Are they diamond? Are they partly a heart shape? You'll find most characters are all made up of different shapes. And you can keep practicing. As I said earlier, get yourself a little sketchbook and you can keep practicing and drawing those shapes and adding them all together, because when you actually break it down and look at it for the individual shapes that they are, they're actually a lot easier to draw. But yeah, I hope this has been useful. Hope you've enjoyed it. Good luck with it, and yeah, take care, have fun.